And so we need to practice discernment, right? What are we bringing into our lives that's giving Satan a foothold? Is it the music we're listening to, the movies we're watching, the shows we're entertaining, right? Whatever it is, we got to be real with God, right? We got to be honest with him. If we feel that conviction, we need to cut those things out, right? And that comes through prayer. I would say these things like, yoga, Ouija boards, tarot cards, we know that those things are founded in the occult. That they are founded in the occult. They're used to conjure spirits in order to communicate with these angels of darkness. And so Christians should have no affiliation with that whatsoever. And we see in Leviticus 19:26, it says, "You shall not eat anything with blood, nor shall you practice divination or soothsaying." That's exactly what those things are, right? It's this idea that, God, I'm denying your reality, and I'm going to conjure up my own reality. And there's even things like word of faith doctrine. Word of faith doctrine is divination. It's I'm going to place faith in my words in order to conjure up a different reality. And so we as Christians, we got to be aware of these things. We've got to understand that these things are trying to infiltrate the church, right? We see there's churches that they have yoga day where everybody comes and does yoga, right? It's infiltrating the body of believers. We got to be aware of these things. And what we need to remember is we shouldn't fear these things, though. We shouldn't fear the power behind these things either. We need to be aware of it, but we shouldn't fear it. Right? In 1 Colossians, the early church, they come to this conflict where there's this meat that's offered to idols. And those who used to worship these idols, they see that as a stumbling block. But this is the conclusion they come to about this meat offered to idols. Should we eat it? Should we not eat it? It says in 1 Corinthians 8:4, it says, "Therefore, concerning the eating of things offered to idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world, and that there is no other God but one." So we as Christians, we know that our God is on the throne, that he's sovereign, that these powers have no strength against the Lord, against his will, and that when we are walking with the Lord, those lies, that foothold, it's cut off, those strongholds from Satan are broken down, and we have victory over those things. But we still need to be aware of it, right? We still need to know that this is an active, campaign against us and against the body of believers. But we also need to know that as we grow in wisdom and as we grow in knowledge of God's word, so does our conviction, right? Once we know that astrological signs are of the occult, right? It's witchcraft. The stars determine who I am. No, the Lord determines who I am. He's the one who grew me. He's the one who makes me who I am, right? So then we got to ask ourselves, can I as a Christian entertain the fun little astrological signs? And it's like a little fortune cookie, right? All the stuff's so generic, it literally applies to anybody who reads it. That's the foolishness of it. But can I as a Christian talk to my non-believer friends about those things and talk about how cool it is and how fun it is to look up your astrological sign and what your fortune is for the day? Can I do that in good conscience, or is that a proper witness of Jesus Christ to those people? I'd say the answer is no, absolutely not. And so as we grow in wisdom and knowledge, so does our conviction. Maybe that's something that the Lord's convicting you about today. I know for me, there's a lot of entertainment that I take in that influences my heart. For the most part, I cannot listen to secular music. I learn by hearing, and when I hear those things repeated, those words repeated, it's a stronghold. It's a foothold that comes into my life, and I start repeating those words and speaking in that manner. So it's something that the Lord's taught me, and maybe it's something that the Lord's trying to reveal to you right now. What are those things in your life that, maybe you think it's all fun and games, but there's real darkness behind it, and if you're a Christian who's promoting those things or making light of those things, you're stumbling those who are lost. You're not witnessing properly as you should. So maybe that's something that we need to be corrected in today, but here's what I do know, is that God will equip us to do exactly that. It says in Hebrews 5:12 through 14, "For though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again the first principles of the oracles of God. And you have come to need milk and not solid food. For everyone who partakes only of milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But solid food belongs to those who are of full age, that is, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. So we as Christians, we've got to exercise that discernment. What is the good that I'm sowing into my life that's building me up and helping me to honor the Lord? What is the evil that I'm sowing into my life that's causing me to stumble? We got to be aware of these things, but guess what? God is going to give us the wisdom and the discernment to do that. The beginning of the wisdom is the fear of the Lord. If you fear the Lord, you want to submit to him, you want to do what's right as far as what goes in God's eyes, humble yourself before him, get in his word, get in prayer. He's going to build you up. He's going to give you the ability to see those things, to thwart that attack, to be strengthened, and to be a warrior for Christ, going out and doing the good work of the Lord, to spread his gospel, to spread that love of the Lord to those that need it. And it's going to be an awesome and powerful thing that Satan hates, and I think that's what all of us want, right?